What is going on, YouTube people? Cards and Comics here. So, I mentioned this in yesterday's video briefly. The worst kept secret in the world seems to be that something is going on with Goldin Auctions, that collectors may be looking to spin them off, potentially, allegedly, rumor mill says, all the normal caveats and nonsense that you have to put out there. But there's a lot of smoke. It doesn't seem like anyone wants to officially confirm anything anywhere, which I get. It's fine. Us small time YouTubers, we're not Darren Ravel. I get it. But something seems to be going on. So let's go into speculation mode. Let's assume PSA is going to spin off Goldin Auctions, sell Goldin Auctions. Someone's going to acquire them, put whatever verbiage on it that you want to. Who would make the most sense to get them? Who is out there that could potentially acquire them that it makes sense for a business sake? This is basically like, pretend we knew SGC was on the market. Who would be the possible suitors for them if we would have went back a week in time? First, let's just kind of knock this one out. It's the least sexy. It's the least exciting. Some sort of private equity nonsense. Someone comes in, buys them, puts them behind the scenes, does their thing with them, some investment thing, a Blackstone. I don't know. There's a billion of them out there, so it's not cute to name any individual one, but it could potentially be something like that. Maybe they would, Ken would buy the company back or take a price. I don't know, but something along those sorts of lines. It would be one potential option. The next one, and anytime you basically default have to put them on the list. I don't think it makes a ton of sense, and we'll kind of talk about why. But anytime you're talking about the collectible space, you have to bring up Fanatics. I don't think it makes sense for them because they just bought PWCC last year. So I don't know, unless you just want to eliminate a competitor essentially, or steal some stuff from them or get a second vault, you could go after and add them to the portfolio. But that one, like I said, just does not make a ton of sense because of the PWCC angle. If they didn't have PWCC already, then it would be a whole different story. They would be near the top of my list if they weren't already in the PWCC business. I just don't think it makes a ton of sense on the marketplace side of things to double down on the marketplace. PSA doubled down, or collectors doubled down by purchasing SGC and bringing them into the fold with PSA. I feel like on the marketplace side of things, that makes less sense. So you have to bring them up because, one, they have a bajillion dollars, and two, they buy up everybody, and it's just kind of their MO. But I just don't think this one fits. It just does not make sense for me for them to get spun off to Fanatics. I'm going to use Heritage here because I think they would be the most likely. Could one of... This kind of is going to contradict a little bit about what I was talking about in the previous one, but could one of the other premier auction houses make a run at them? Kind of like we just talked about, I don't think it makes a ton of sense for them unless they're looking at the angle of eliminating competition. And maybe that's a different conversation for someone that is strictly in your only business is auctioning. Like Heritage, they're not Fanatics. They don't have a bunch of other nonsense that they do. They are an auction house. So for them to pick off one of their competitors in the space with Goldin and absorb them in and buy up the clientele base and maybe the inventory or whatever else, some of the assets, maybe another vaulting option, whatever they wanted to pick from it, that maybe you could make the case for that. I don't think it makes a ton of sense, but you could kind of sell me on that one. Like I said, I don't think this is the way that it goes. Maybe. So the three that we have discussed so far, private equity, Fanatics, and Heritage, out of those three, I think, private equity or the company going private or getting spun off by itself makes the most sense. There's one last person that we have not talked about that I think could make some sense because it is a selling platform. They're massive, but they don't really have the high end covered. Now, who am I talking about? The Bay. They just raised their fees. They got to spend some money. Or maybe they were planning on spending some money. eBay. Now, why would it make sense for eBay? As we've just kind of talked about different auction houses and, Fanatics doubling down when they already have PWCC. eBay obviously has, they're beyond the collectibles market, but in the collectibles market specifically, they have a massive market share. What they lack is high end. They do not have a premier level service offering around collectibles. Now, they launched eBay Premier Auctions or whatever they called it this month. I don't think it did quite well. I heard no buzz about it, or next to no buzz about it. So they are really lacking in that ultra high end space. And, what's the first thing you always hear of? Someone has something super high end, like we're talking like a 6-figure card, and eBay never comes up on that. $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 cards. Yeah, that stuff moves on there. People will put a $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 card up on eBay, through one of the bigger consigners and sell it, and it'll sell sometimes. I think a lot of it has to do with like back end payment processing stuff as a pain for high dollar transactions on eBay, is what I've been told. I don't play in that market, so I'm not 100% sure. But if someone wants to sell a mantle or, a game used LeBron jersey or some massive collection, eBay doesn't have a way to do that. So if eBay wanted to enter that space, them acquiring Goldin or partnering or whatever you want to call it could make some sense. That would now give them a go-to for high-end collectible items that they do not have now. And, they would, maybe it's something that they get them and then they, to filter back to the PSA SGC thing under collectors, maybe they would still function as their own independent unit. I don't think it would become eBay, Goldin, or anything crazy like that. It might still just be Goldin Auctions, but the back end ties to eBay and there's some integration, and the items maybe get shared on the eBay homepage in addition to the Goldin. Maybe Goldin handles the back end and the marketing, but you can bid on it from eBay if you want to, along with the Goldin website. I don't know. There's a lot of different angles you could kind of take there, but eBay lacks a high-end niche. They have everything else covered, but they do not have high-end covered. So to me, out of the available players, I think eBay makes the most sense for a lot of different reasons. There's some stuff that it doesn't make sense for, like, why do they need to get into the high end? They dominate the low already. Do they really want to spend the money on that? You could spin it some other ways for sure. But unless I'm missing someone, and if there's someone else that you think makes sense, fire away in the comments down below. To me, eBay makes the most sense. Just when you look, at least out of the ones that I presented. Like I said, maybe I'm forgetting someone. I'm not perfect. But eBay wanting a high-end piece of wanting a piece of the high-end marketplace pie, this would be a way to jumpstart that. You would immediately have brand recognition, the marketing forces behind it, people that understand that niche. So, I don't know. That's my guess. We will see what happens. Stay tuned. Lots of craziness happening in the back end of stuff, it seems, lately. So, that's all I got. Let me know what your thoughts in the comments down below. Catch you on the next one. Peace.